This is Tips on the Top episode 914 for August the 24th, 2022.
Tips from the top floor. Tips from the top, alright, from the top floor.
Hello, you people from the internet. It's Chris. I'm back from the Eastern Europe photo road trip scouting tour, which is now making the weirdest acronym ever. Anyway, if you haven't watched my scouting vlog, I think I still have 2 to release. Then what are you waiting for? tfttf.com/scout takes you right to the YouTube playlist. Yeah, so this has been awesome. This has been so awesome, even though I returned with pink eye. My eye hurts. Yeah, but I think there's way too much air conditioning. It was really warm. It was 32 Celsius most of the days. It's like 90 Fahrenheit. So yeah, the driving, as it was a lot of driving, I think I wanted it a bit too comfortable, and the air conditioner was blowing in my face, and that's how my eye got infected. It's almost over though. No, don't pity me. No, don't pity me. I brought this on myself. Yeah, so it was awesome. Prague was amazing. The city, I just love the city. The center a bit touristy, yes, but especially like on a main square around the astronomical clock, which is one of the last astronomical clock. I think the only one still in operation. Which is, yeah, I've seen it. And the whole space is a pickpocket paradise. So there's so many people there. But that doesn't mean that Prague isn't awesome. There's so many other places and secret spots and things that are going to make this wonderful. The Prague part, especially some views from like higher up over the bridges and things. There's like a ton of bridges. And if you catch those at the right time of day, it's going to be beautiful. So I loved Prague. And then I didn't go to Vienna because, again, I know Vienna quite well, so I know where to go there and what places work well at what time of day. And I continued then to Budapest. And Budapest, I've never been to Budapest before. I've seen pictures, but just being there, wow, Budapest is amazing. I love Vienna. Budapest is a bit like Vienna, but more Eastern. And yeah, the whole castle, the Buda Castle district on the hill, overlooking the Danube River, the Parliament building and things. The Parliament building in itself, I mean, it's just amazing. But then the city in itself, went to the market hall. Wow, I'm a fan of markets. On all the previous photo tours, I always try to make sure there is some market involved, because that's where you see actual people doing actual work. You have a lot of variety of photos to take. The pictures, the market stands are like colorful with here's fruit, there's paprika, there's sausages, there's like, I love it. So Budapest, yay, awesome. And then I continued on into first of all, into Hortobágy National Park. Still not sure if I'm pronouncing this well, but it's a big lake area with, at least at certain times of the year. I'm not sure we're going to hit those exact times because it's not a birding workshop, but there's a lot of birders going there to shoot birds. But it's a beautiful, like almost like a rest stop for a day. You can sleep in. It's nice, it's quiet, it's in the middle of nature. Really nice lodge there. So that's probably where we're gonna stop for after having been to Berlin and Dresden and Prague and Vienna and Budapest. We might need a bit of a break there for half a day. And then continue into Romania, into Cluj, and then from there to the center of Romania, to Transylvania. So I met Henry there, and we've recorded a vlog together in the car. It should be probably out by now, if not. Again, tfttf.com/scout. We'll talk about the like Transylvania in general, and a bit about the fortified churches. There's 150 or more old fortified churches in Transylvania, and we want to see a few of those. We've visited a few of those. We've got some great videos, some great images. So you'll see this on the scouting vlog. Anyway, I'm back. I'm getting rid of the pink eye, and I am gonna open today's episode 914 of Tips from the Top Floor. Enjoy. Do you remember 1 Hour 1000 Pics? It's an ebook that I wrote 2014, I think. So that's like 8 years ago. And it was about speeding up your Lightroom workflow, pretty much. That's the subtitle. Supercharge your Lightroom workflow. And I used to sell that. And that was, again, like 100 years ago. And it was, it helped. I mean, I'm looking at photography, at optimizing your photography, at improving your output. It's a two-prong approach. The first one is, learn to take better photos. If you take better photos, you won't have to take as many of them, and then your quality to output ratio, or your quality to input ratio, is better, pretty much. Very simple. And then the second prong is whatever you're left with, the thousands and thousands of pictures that you've taken. If you learn to effectively manage those, sort them, rate them, keyword them, edit them, bubble up the good ones, then that's going to be a total package, right? The input and the output. And that ebook is about the output, about the paring down the output to the necessary. And that ebook, believe it or not, is still around, unchanged. First of all, I never got around to updating it, but then also I never really saw the need to update it, because it was, apart from a few minor things that Lightroom has changed, Lightroom hasn't changed that much in its basic tool set, in its database management, asset management tool set. So, and that's what this book is about. It's also about getting yourself into the right mindset to not fret too much about deleting pictures, because that is important. And it suggests a method to get yourself in that mindset, and to be really, really sure about if you delete a picture, it is worth deleting. It's not worth keeping. And being safe about that is going to help you get rid of the clutter and so on. And no, I'm not the Marie Kondo of photography, because there's still plenty of mess here on my system. But anyway, that ebook has been around for a long time, and the web page for it had fallen a bit into disarray. 1hour1000pics.com, 1HOUR1, the number 1000pics.com. It is, and I keep receiving questions about where is it, where can I find it, can I still download it? I wanted to recommend it to a friend and so on. Lately, I don't know why, but lately a lot more of these requests have come up. So I fixed things. If you go to 1hour1000pics.com, the link is in the show notes. It is there for you. It's a free download. It just do with it what you want. It even comes with an MP3 of me reading it to you. So it's short, 36 pages, and it has helped people, and I'm giving it away. So there you go. 1 Hour 1000 Pics is free for you to download and use. It's still unchanged. I still did not update it, but hey, you will be fine doing that. All right, let's look at the news. Have you heard of Mojo Lens? I heard about this back in April, and I initially thought it was vaporware. This is from the AR realm of things, augmented reality. I will have a link to photography there for sure. So Mojo claimed in April to build a contact lens that does augmented reality. And like I couldn't believe that is possible. Like put AR hardware into a contact lens. And then a short while ago, just a few weeks ago, Tested.com, that is Adam Savage's YouTube channel, they got access and they had a look at it. And now it looks like much less like vaporware. And I was really surprised. So what they're building is, well, augmented reality. It's a digital layer on top of reality. So you can place objects in reality, but for that, of course, you need a display to show it to you some way. You need some sort of tracking, as in, if you move your head, you want the things to stay where they are in space. You need some sort of a CPU, some sort of a battery, and putting all that into a contact lens, I didn't think was possible. Well, it seems that they are on the right track there, including building or developing their own miniaturized display that fits a contact lens. That thing is supposed to have an IMU, like a gyroscope thing, to help you track your head movements, and a CPU and a battery. And I think they're using kind of a like a medically approved contact lens package around it. There is such a thing, and they're building it into that. And yeah, just the idea of, I mean, we are really close to getting like headsets from the big companies, and just think about not having to wear a bulky headset. And well, for me, I find this is one of the things I find interesting, and I'm sneaking in here. But I think it might be relevant to photography as well. I mean, just imagine taking a picture while having the information visible right there. Like, you don't even have to put the camera to your face. You look at the scene, and that could give you, I don't know, exposure values of that tree over there and that sky and the foreground without really needing the camera to do so. You could even have the image preview that normally is displayed on a display on the camera being replaced by something virtual. Now that's, of course, a bit of a narrow application there, but like just the prospect of being able to get rid of all the physical screens in our homes and replace them with the virtual ones wherever you want them, and as many as you like. Or the ability to hang virtual photos on the walls. And then swap them out regularly, instead of like, you remember these digital photo frames? Yeah, just imagine as many of those as you like, in the form of like an entire wall with your best photos that you can see and everyone in your home could see with a virtual AR device of sorts. Yeah. And then you could do like virtual exhibitions. Right now, all that stuff is clunky. It is already there. You can do virtual exhibitions with VR, but the tools, I think, will then follow up pretty quickly. And then, yeah, just imagine you making your home into a virtual exhibition space. I find that kind of cool to think about that. Anyway, the link to that video is in the show notes. All right, let's talk about XKCD. Do you know XKCD? So it's a cartoon, nerdy cartoons, stick figures and witty stuff. And I want to talk about Randall Munroe and one of his latest XKCD cartoons about deepfakes. That's something that we are dealing with here and there. We just had a case here in Germany with where a politician was kind of duped into an interview with a deep-faked guy from the Ukraine. So that made a bit of a splash here in the news. So that whole topic is, of course, VR, AR photography related in some way, at least image generated and video related in some way. And I want to say kudos to Randall Munroe, the guy behind XKCD, because in his current panel, or in one of his latest panels, he talks about he builds up several meta layers on top of that whole deepfake technology, but because he says, well, there's two figures walking, and one says, thanks to deepfakes, soon we won't know what's real anymore. Video will become meaningless. Then the other person goes, I don't know, we've had Photoshop for decades and staged photos for centuries. It hasn't made photos meaningless. The bottleneck for fake stuff isn't technical. The bottleneck is the willingness to lie. People lying is a very old problem. It's a known exploit. And then the other guy comes back. I guess technically we've been able to make text deepfakes for 5,000 years. And then the second guy answers, maybe Ea Nazir's copper ingots were actually fine. So I had to do a double take on the Ea Nazir's copper ingots because I've never heard of them. So I went to look things up. So first of all, I think the basic truth is, yep, technically speaking, the willingness to lie is what has to come first, right? You can make deepfakes. You can have, I don't know, some politician say something really horrible on camera as a deepfake, and they will be so good at one point that you will not be able to tell the difference. So, but of course, the willingness to lie is the first step in that thing, and we've done that. We've faked things forever. There've been counterfeit banknotes and famous images and things. So that is kind of a given. But then, yeah, I went down the rabbit hole of Ea Nazir's copper ingots, and it turns out that goes back to, let me bring up the Wikipedia page here. It's a complaint tablet that was found to someone called Ea Nazir. It's a clay tablet that was sent to ancient Ur, written circa 1750 BC. And it's a complaint to a merchant named Ea Nazir from a customer named Nani, written in Akkadian cuneiform. I guess it's a sort of a written language. It is considered to be the oldest known written complaint. It is currently kept in the British Museum. So the story is that Ea Nazir traveled to somewhere to buy copper and then returned to sell it in Mesopotamia. On one particular occasion, he had agreed to sell copper ingots to Nani, and Nani sent his servant to complete the transaction, and then the copper that came back was substandard, not accepted. So there's this old complaint letter. So that's why the XKCD guy says, going back to the deepfakes things, maybe Ea Nazir's copper ingots were actually fine. And then, here's the thing. And here's a hats off to Randall Munroe, because he tends to add a second or a deeper meta layer onto the things. If you open his then the link is in the show notes. If you open his comic strip and you hover the mouse over it, there's an alt text. It's like a built-in meta text that is normally used for like people with bad sight and other accessibility related things. That's also used by search engines, and that one says, if so great a deductive mind as Arthur Conan Doyle can be fooled by the Cottingley deepfakes, what chance do we mortals have? Soon our very reality will be dictated by the whims of Francis 9 and Elsie 16. So yeah, then I went down the Cottingley deepfakes rabbit hole, because that goes straight back to photography, and it goes back to the Cottingley fairies, which back in, let's see, in the old around 1920, goes back to someone faking photographs with fairies. We're talking 1917. Francis Griffiths. Oh no, that's the girl. Anyway, I think their father or someone took pictures and made double exposures, and those double exposures show little fairies surrounding the girls, and that is a very early kind of a deep fake thing. So anyway, this is super meta, and I was super excited. It really triggered the nerd in me in a very positive way. So yeah, that's what we that's what we're dealing with here. Randall Munroe, you're a genius. All right. This is the spot in the show where I originally wanted to talk about DALL-E 2. And especially about DALL-E 2 getting a diversity boost, because that was one of the issues that that the system had, and it's an issue that a lot of AI-related generative systems have, that they have a bias towards things, and of course that bias comes from the data set that these things are trained on. So, for example, if you used to ask DALL-E for a group of doctors, it would spit out a picture of a group of male doctors, and if you asked for a picture of a group of nurses, it would spit out a picture of female nurses, because that is the bias in the data set. And of course, that has all sorts of impacts. And what they did in with DALL-E 2 is they then added probably some form of prompt pre-processing. So before your prompt, a group of doctors goes into the AI to create the picture, it would add some more terms into it, like female, Asian, whatever, racial things and gender things and so on, to make it more diverse. And the result was that if you, after they changed that, if you if you ask for a group of doctors, it would mix them up with stuff. Of course, that would also end up giving you, I don't know, traditional characters like, let's say, Mario, would give you Marios, female Marios, and other things, which it might not be your intention. And the other thing it did, well, it got a bit of an uproar, because it also kind of, I appreciate that it kind of showed people their inherent biases, because they were surprised by some of the results, and I think it's a good thing to show people, to hold up a mirror in front of people and say, hey, by the way, you are biased, because we all are. Anyway, this is where I wanted to talk about this, but then I left for Eastern Europe, and pretty much a day before I left, Stable Diffusion came out. And this was a biggie, and I didn't really have time during the Eastern Europe trip to talk about it here, because I pre-produced the last episode and so on. So, and now what Stable Diffusion has led to is it kind of made people not talk about DALL-E anymore, because, what is Stable Diffusion? It's kind of the same thing as DALL-E. Like, it's a trained neural network that can create pictures based on your prompt. And the thing is, they are open sourcing the model. Whereas DALL-E 2, that's a very close thing, even though the company is called OpenAI, but they are anything but open. they are certainly for profit. So what Stable Diffusion has done is they have created a model, they've trained a model that is as good as DALL-E, if not better in some respects. Very, very powerful. And they are giving away the trained model, which is kind of where the whole, or a lot of the cool stuff sits. And they are giving that away for free in open source. So the trained neural network is open source, which means you can run it locally at your own place on your own GPU. And I think there's even a CPU mode, even though that is super slow. But if you have a decent GPU and a Windows system or a Linux system, you should be able to run that if you're inclined to do these kind of things. And you won't have to pay anyone like OpenAI for image generation, which is kind of wild, because it has the potential to disrupt businesses like DALL-E 2 before they're even kind of publicly available. So this is, when I saw this, like, holy guacamole. They also offer like a public service at beta.dreamstudio.ai, like a for paid service, because they of course have to run the GPUs and stuff for you. So you can sign up there. I guess you can sign up there. Try it, beta.dreamstudio.ai, and pay to use their resources. I think it's about £10 for 1,000 image generations. Even though, depending on your parameters, if you want more generation steps and that kind of stuff, it goes a bit up, but it's definitely very competitive. And instead of keeping things under wraps like OpenAI does, and instead of messing with people's prompts to inject things for diversity and so on, Stable Diffusion is like, it's more permissible. I mean, it lets you do more things, and it's also gonna be it will be in commercial applications. I mean, if you build software, you could integrate it into your software. Maybe you have, I don't know, a blogging system, and you could have it automatically generate the header images. And there's I mean, it's almost a given that system, because they are virtually giving away the model. We will see a lot of that integration in the future in all sorts of systems that need any form of imagery. So yeah, I think DALL-E has been disrupted even before it was available to the world. And of course, the artwork for this episode comes straight from Stable Diffusion. It is very powerful. It is more raw in terms of the prompts. They are not being massaged as much as for DALL-E. So you can try different things. You can even keep doing the same composition, but with a changed prompt. So you could have it render, I don't know, 9 images of something, and then you pick the one that has the nicest composition, and then you keep iterating on that specific composition. So it is, it's Stable Diffusion is here to stay, and they're now beginning to move into different fields such as music. So that is exciting. Last but not least, I want to talk about vision. Computer vision. Again, not really that much into photography, but it's vision related, it's camera related, because there's a lot of systems now, since AI has started taking off around 10 years ago. That was a big turning point in the whole field, and we're just now seeing big results, at least in the mainstream. And one of those things that is really, really heavily looked at in science right now is the whole field of vision and recognition of things. And there is, we are talking about autonomy in driving systems that need to be able to see what is a trash can, another car, a pedestrian, a bicycle, and so on. And those systems are, yes, there's LiDAR and there's radar and stuff, but vision is really a really important component there. Some companies are even betting their entire autonomous future on just vision. So we are looking at what vision can do in the whole field of image recognition. And there's a video that just came out a while ago. We're looking at a drone that flies through a parkour. And if you have ever seen these kind of systems trying to, whatever kind of a robot, be it a little flying robot or a walking robot or a driving robot, if you've ever seen these things in, let's say, the last 20 years trying to navigate a parkour, then you might have seen them fail a lot, be slow, take a long time to figure out where things are and what things are, and then not... and then miss a door handle and fall flat on their face, and this kind of stuff. Was always kind of humorous. Now, we're looking at something completely different here. There's a drone that zips through a parkour, a 3-dimensional parkour, at breakneck speed, which those small drones can do. They're the FPV drones that are really, really agile. And the drone does that, like it zips through holes and around poles and behind things, and it doesn't do this by a pre-programmed path, but it does it by computer vision. So just if you want to have an idea, if you want to get an idea where things are heading in terms of what we can do with cameras, this would be one of the things to look at and then go, ooh, this is probably further along than a lot of people think. So yeah, computer vision drone racing. And that was it for this episode of Tips from the Top Floor. Thanks so much for listening. Thanks for being subscribed. You are awesome. You can leave feedback for the show at tfttf.com/hi, tfttf.com/hi, and that includes writing, recording a voicemail, or attaching a file from me. And the following listeners have done exactly that. Mark writes, "Hi Chris, it's great to hear TFTTF back with new episodes. A few weeks ago, I finally deleted TFTTF as a subscription for my podcast player. I knew you were busy doing other things and assumed that when there were more episodes, you would mention that you had restarted the podcast on TFOB or the Tech Guy, which I subscribe to. Did I miss those announcements? To my surprise, I found 5 new episodes, so I'm back as a subscriber. The new format is different, but it's still interesting and enjoyable. I've not listened to TFOP 230 yet, but if you don't mention TFTTF Rising from the Ashes on that episode, mention it in the next. Hello, anyone there? The answer is yes. Mark. Yeah, this is TFTTF is kind of reborn now and in a bit of a different format, and I just needed to see if it's stuck, if I could make this a regular thing again. And now that I kind of know that, yep, that's not gonna go anywhere anytime soon, you will hear me talk about this on other episodes, so don't worry about it. It'll be public. And then, of course, waiting a bit also helps, because then you have something to show for your for beating the drum somewhere else, so people will see TFTTF and they'll say, oh wow, this has been going on, and maybe that, I don't know, maybe that's a good thing. And then Rich wrote, hi Chris, I had been waiting for you to publish another TFTTF. I enjoy the future of photography too. Kind regards, Rich. Thank you so much. And of course, if you want to leave your feedback, your own feedback, go to tfttf.com/hi. You can follow Tips from the Top Floor on Twitter at tfttfphoto. And if you can, please support the show at Patreon. Your continued support does make a difference, and I really appreciate it. tfttf.com/Patreon. And I told you that you'll have to pay. All right, now go out and take amazing photos. Be extra nice to each other. And of course, happy shooting.